everyone, it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be talking about some books that I'm hoping to read soon. First of all, we have kind of a new setup. I don't have, like I used to at the old house in Windsor, I used to have my little armchair in here. Now it's in the bedroom because there's not really a good spot to put it in here. But I used to have that chair in here, and then whenever I wanted to sit for a video, I would just move it and it was fine. But now all I have is a rolly chair. So I'm just gonna use the rolly chair. I won't be rolling, I promise. I'm not gonna be like turning around and everything. But essentially, whenever I want to sit for a video, because I'm like filming a lot that day or whatever, sometimes I just want to sit down, okay? I'm feeling lazy, like I've been up since 5. I just would like to sit. But usually, like, I just sit on the floor, which hurts my butt because it's just hardwood. There's no carpet or anything in here. But also, you just see like the dark part of my shelves. You see like the pink, which is kind of bright, and then the purples and the blues, which I really like, but I would like you to see like the whole rainbow effect. So this is the best of both worlds is what we're going with today. But I'm really excited about today's video because it's a video that I've done a few times, but I always kind of hold back from doing it. But this is my way of reclaiming my channel. And I say that with quotation marks because it's always been mine. It's just, I've put so much pressure on myself to try and please everyone. And the bottom line is you can't do that. Like, especially on the internet, you can't do that. And it's something that I'm trying to come to learn and like accept. So I'm really trying to just make the videos that I want, because at some point there was kind of a shift between me just putting up as many videos as I wanted and making videos about whatever I wanted and then worrying about what other people thought of them. And I know one of the main things is like I really try to not repeat books too much because I know that that was one of the main things that I would get comments on is people like, you talk about the same books all the time. And I've always said, I am one person who's doing all this reading. Like, I can only read so much. And especially now, I'm working 2 jobs. I have a publishing internship on top of doing my channel. I can only read so much. So I really like to talk about books that I'm excited to read, but some people get annoyed that like I haven't read them yet and it's not recommendations. But I've come to a point where I'm like, I don't care. Like, I want to talk about some books that I want to read today, so that's what I'm gonna do. I want to talk about some books that I did read and I loved, then that's what I'm gonna do. But today I wanted to focus on some that I'm just so excited about. Even though I did a spring TBR and an April TBR recently, I don't care. I just want to talk about some books that I want to read, okay? I hope that's fine, but also if it's not, it's fine with me. So that's just where we're at right now. I didn't mean that as a rant or anything. I'm just like, I'm doing this 5 videos a week for April thing because it's taking so much of the pressure off of things. I know it might seem like a lot with me having my internship and everything, but it just is making me like not overthink things because I know I want to hit 5 videos. That's my goal. So I'm trying to think of like 5 new topics, and it's really kind of gotten my creative juices flowing as well. By the way, if you have any video suggestions, then you can leave them down below too. But anyways, this was a very long intro. Let's just get to the books that I'm hoping to read soon. First is one that I have mentioned in quite a few videos, but that is When You Get the Chance by Emma Lord. This is a gender-bent Mamma Mia retelling, so how could I not want to read that? Like, how could I not? It just seems absolutely amazing. I love Mamma Mia, and I really enjoyed Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, which was her first book, and her second book I wasn't the biggest fan of. I didn't enjoy it as much, but this one seems like it could be my jam. So I really want to read it. Kind of the book that sparked the idea for this whole video is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I hadn't seen this book. Then I heard it was really hyped up on TikTok. I haven't even seen it on TikTok, but mind you, TikTok for me, like Book Talk for me, the videos that I get recommended, they're not really recommendations videos. I just get like a lot of memes and stuff. I don't know if it's just where I hang out or just what the algorithm thinks I want, but I never get any book recommendations, which is really strange. So I haven't really found out about any new books that I hadn't heard about from TikTok yet, but we'll see. Maybe that will happen soon. I mean, I'm still a newbie to TikTok. Like, it's been like Maybe by the time this video goes up, it's been like a month or a couple of weeks. I'm not exactly sure. It feels like forever. But anyways, this one I know a lot of people had really loved, and it was all over TikTok, and the cover for it, something about it. This is not the usual kind of cover that would draw me in, because usually I like covers that are like illustrated. I like covers that have a little bit more going on. A lot of people disagree with my cover opinions, but it's fine. It's the way that I am. This one, however, something about it makes me want to read it. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's one of those books that just draws me in, and I cannot explain why. It is a dark academia story. That's all I really know about it. Each decade, only the 6 most uniquely talented magicians are selected to earn a place in the Alexandrian Society, the foremost secret society in the world. So we have secret societies as well. There's just like a lot happening. These end papers are delightful, like even the back. What? I'm obsessed. Yeah, I really would like to read this. Also, knowledge is carnage. I've never actually read what it says on the top, but that's intense. You might notice as we're going through the stack that it's kind of in color order, and that's because I literally went to my shelves and was just like, what do I want to read soon? And then was just picking things off like in the order as I scan the shelves. But next up is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I really can't believe I haven't read this one yet. This is another one that was really hyped up on TikTok. I believe the author herself is a book talker, but this is Romeo and Juliet retelling set in 1920 Shanghai, and it is following, obviously we have like a Romeo and a Juliet character, but what I was going to say is that it's following rival gangs. So it seems really, really intriguing, like absolutely up my alley. Romeo and Juliet retelling, rivals, historical fiction, all of those things tick all of the boxes for me. So like, why has it taken me so long to read this? It's because basically any books that came out in like from March to the end of 2021 has suffered from my moving. I have not had the mental capacity to read anything. And this one did it come out then? This one absolutely came out in 2020, but I think I actually got it in 2021. No, December 2020 is when I got it. But then I didn't end up actually reading it, so then I ended up suffering from my moving. That was a really long-winded explanation to essentially say I am dying to read this one. Next up is Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. I love Margaret Rogerson. I have read all of her books so far, and I've really enjoyed them. They're very solid fantasies, usually ones that I can read pretty quickly. But this one, for some reason, I haven't picked up, even though I have wanted to so badly. It's been out since fall 2021, so it is still like a pretty recent release, but I want to read it so badly. It's kind of like a darker fantasy. It's about these nuns, like the main character is one of the Grey sisters, and they cleanse the bodies of the dead so then they won't come and haunt them. But then there ends up being like this army that comes and attacks the convent, and she ends up like awakening this dark spirit thing and has to deal with it after, but that's how she like gets rid of the army and everything. So it just seems really intriguing. Definitely kind of a fall read more so, but I would like to read it anyways. Next is Blood Like Magic by Lascelles Sambury. The reason that I really want to read this one is, one, this cover is stunning. The purple, I love it. But also the sequel, I don't know if it's out yet, but the cover has been released and it is so striking to me. I love the blue on it, like with the red and the white dress that the characters wear. It's beautiful. So that has just made me really intrigued by this book. I don't even know what it's about. To save my family's magic, I must destroy my first love. Oh, I remember this one. I must destroy my first love. I never wanted to be a killer, but I am a Thomas witch. We suffer and we survive. So essentially, she has to kill the first person that she falls in love with, but like she's not in love with anyone yet. So she has to meet someone and then fall in love with them and then kill them. So that's the whole thing. It's basically a story about her like having to save her family and trying to save her family, but at what cost will that come at? And it deals with witchcraft and everything. It seems very interesting. Next, of course, we have Passion of Dolsa by Julie Berry. I have tried to read this book and I just haven't gotten into it. I tried the audiobook, so I think that I might need to physically read it, but this is by the author of The Lovely War, which I love Lovely War so much. It was fantastic. One of my favorite books. Absolutely adored it. This, I think it's hard for me because I need to listen to the audiobook like slower because the language is different. So it's hard for me to just casually listen to it. But this is about a girl who is being threatened to burn at the stake because she's a heretic and she has to escape with her mother. So her and her mother are sentenced to burn for heresy, and Dolsa escapes with her life. Oh, so her mother doesn't make it. I don't remember that from listening to the audiobook. So she has no choice but to flee, and she ends up in a small village, and there's people helping her there and everything. So it's set in like 1492 or something like that. Actually, it's set even before that. It's set in 1290. I knew it was set a really long time ago. I've never read a book that is set in a time period like this. So I need to read more of her. Like, I'd love to Lovely War so much, but I think I'm just nervous. But I should just go for it. I really want to. Next is another case where I have loved this author before, Tiffany D. Jackson. I would love to read Grown by her. This is the only other book of hers that I own that I haven't read yet, and I'm not letting myself get any more of her books until I actually read this one. This one came out in 2020, I think it was fall 2020 or something like that, but it's once again like a mystery thriller. That's what she does best, and I'm just always so intrigued to read her books because they absolutely have the most shocking twists and endings and everything. So it's made me just want to read everything by her. And this book is obviously no exception. It's following a musician, and she's like being mentored by this very famous other musician. I think it's a rapper specifically, but then he ends up turning up dead, and she was the last person seen with him. So she becomes a key suspect in his murder. Twisted. Next is Twice Shy by Sarah Hogle. I believe that You Deserve Each Other by this author has been really hyped up, and because of that, it's kind of made me want to read the only book that I have of hers. So I would like to read You Deserve Each Other, but I want to read this one first, which is essentially why I haven't actually picked up You Deserve Each Other. But this is a romance dealing with a character that's like very much a dreamer. She's a hopeless romantic, and she ends up inheriting a house in the Smokies, which I think are in Tennessee. I literally have no idea. So she's seeing this as a fresh start for herself, but then there's this grumpy groundskeeper that she also has to deal with. Next up is Iron Widow by Ziran J. Zhao. This book I've seen everywhere because everyone at work is talking about this book. They're so obsessed with it, and I would love to know why. Like, for the longest time I was like, I definitely got this book, but then I couldn't actually remember if I had hauled it or anything, but it's because it was in the corner beside my bookshelf. I had just stacked a few books there because I didn't have anywhere else to put them, and then I found it the other day and I was like, yes, finally, so I can finally read this because I have been dying to do that. This book is super hyped up. It's like pilots, I believe, so only females can be pilots, and no, sorry, that's a lie. So they're paired up with male pilots. So females can be the co-pilot, and they're in like these chrysalises, which are giant transforming mechas that humanity relies on to battle the massive aliens that lurk beyond the Great Wall. So there's a lot of things happening here. Like there's a lot. It seems super intriguing, kind of like a fantasy, but sci-fi, but like a little bit of everything. Next is The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. This is the latest book in the Kiss Quotient series. I haven't gotten the chance to read it yet, but I've been really looking forward to that. I know a lot of people have said that it's dealing with like a lot more intense subject matter, so do be aware of trigger warnings before going into it, but I'm really excited to read the next installment, even if it is going to be like a little bit more sad and emotional. And I think I mentioned this one in my April TBR, so I won't talk about it that much more, but yeah. I actually also just saw it on my other shelves, but it's behind my camera. But Beasts of Prey by Ayana Gray, I've also been dying to read. It's about a character who is working at a night zoo with like these really curious creatures, but because her family is indentured, so she's trying to pay off their debts, and I really want to read it. Like, I don't know what's been taking me so long, but I want to get to it. Next is Orphan Monster Spy by Matt Colleen. This I've had for years, and I have been dying to read it. Like, I really want to. I know I've said that about like all of these books, but it's true. So this one is about a main character. It's a Jewish girl, and she is living in Nazi Germany, and she ends up going undercover at a Nazi boarding school. So that's like such a high stakes and interesting situation. I think I've just been waiting for the right moment to read this book. I don't know what it is, but I need to read it soon. Next is If It Makes You Happy by Claire Kahn. This is by the author of, what's it called? Oh, the cover is white. and then it has purple writing. Let's Talk About Love. Sorry, I couldn't think of what it was called. But this is another book by her that I have really wanted to read. I pre-ordered the paperback and everything, and I believe it came out last year, but it says that Winnie is living her best fat girl life and is on her way to the best place on earth. No, not Disneyland, her granny's diner, Goldie's. So she's working there in a 50s inspired uniform and everything. There's a summer queen competition. It kind of is reminding me quite a bit of Dumpling by Julie Murphy, which I really enjoyed. And finally is The Bones of Ruin by Sarah Raleigh. I have been dying to read this book since it came out, since before it came out. I've been talking about this book and wanting to read it. It's about an African tightrope walker in Victorian London, and she's used to being like the center of attention and gawked at usually, but she has this like secret ability to she's not able to die. And obviously as a tightrope walker, that's interesting. The most interesting thing though, like I didn't know this when I first got this book, but it seems there's so many things happening. So there's a member of a mysterious order called the Enlightenment Committee. The apocalypse is coming, so to help them choose a leader for the upcoming apocalypse, the committee is holding the Tournament of Freaks, a macabre competition made up of vicious fighters with fantastical abilities. And this guy wants the main character to be his champion. Like what? There's so much happening, but I'm so interested in it. Okay, so those are all of the books that I wanted to talk about that I'm hoping to read soon. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in another new one soon. Bye! I don't know why I waved like that. That was weird, but goodbye.